Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Austin Haworth, Staff Coordinator of Bulbapedia, to discuss the recent CoroCoro leaks, which included 5 new Pokemon, 2 new Alola Forms, and the reveal of Team Skull. However, we recorded this discussion before the discovery of Namekobushi, so we don't actually refer to it. Instead, I'll be offering up our individual thoughts and what they could mean at the end, since Austin was unfortunately unable to return. With all that said, let's get started. Well, Austin, we knew CoroCoro was coming on the 12th. I didn't expect the leaks to come out this quickly, though. And yeah, I'd say we got a pretty decent issue considering the new Pokemon and the forms, plus we finally know that there is going to be an evil team in Alola, which is pretty cool. But what's your general reaction to all of this new information?
Honestly, it's kind of miraculous I was even awake for these to go live like they did. I'm so used to CoroCoro scans going up at about 3 a.m. And I was up late last night playing through a level of Mass Effect, and all of a sudden my Twitter feed and my Discord chat just goes haywire, and they're saying CoroCoro's out, and it was pretty exhilarating there for about an hour.
Yeah, no, you're not kidding. I was pretty much in the same situation where I was getting ready to go to sleep, and then I got a message from Andre saying, hey, there's a new update to Pokemon Go. I'm like, oh, okay, let me figure this out. And he sent me his footage, and I got that update done, and I was laying down in bed and almost asleep again, and I got another message from him. It was like, new Pokemon from CoroCoro leak. What? Like, what? And I'm like, jump out of bed, immediately have to find out what's going on with them, what's the information, and get the general reactions. And I gotta say, of these Pokemon, I like all of them. I like the Sandcastle Pokemon, but I do think its pre-evolution is not quite as strong as its evolution. But that's just sort of preliminary thoughts on all this. But let's go ahead and just break these down one by one and go through each of them. So first up, we do have the Sandcastle, and the little one is called Tsunaba, while the bigger one is called Shirodesuna, and both are a ghost ground type. So what was your first impression upon seeing the infamous Sandcastle Pokemon?
Honestly, I can't say I'm too terribly surprised. I had kind of figured that we were going to see we were going to see some sandcastles because it's Alola, it's based off Hawaii, there's beaches everywhere. I wasn't expecting ground ghost. That was a bit of a weird typing. But then looking at their designs, I like them. I don't really have a problem with them, and from what I can see, reactions seem to be kind of love them or hate them online. Yeah,
that's sort of what I'm getting at, because, you know, there's all those people who are like, oh man, a sandcastle, that's stupid. Oh man, an ice cream cone, that's stupid. Oh man, a lantern, that's stupid. Yeah, all that kind of stuff, where they take everyday objects and turn them into, well, Pokemon. And I like you, like, I was not shocked by this. I was like, oh cool, a Sandcastle Pokemon, because that makes sense. It fits in with what they've been doing with Alola, and I think works quite well. And I really like how different the typing is. I'm not super familiar with every type of every single Pokemon out there that I can recall it offhand, but I don't think Ghost Ground is that common of a type. I don't even know if it's been done before, but I could be completely wrong about that.
There's only one other line of Pokemon that has Ghost Ground, and it's a personal favorite of mine as well. So I will say that typing does excite me.
Well, what was the Pokemon offhand?
It was Golurk and its pre-evolution Golett?
Okay, yeah.
I can never figure out how to pronounce it.
Yeah, I think I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah, that's right. They were Ghost Grounds. That's pretty cool. Design-wise, I mean, they're sandcastles. I kind of love how they do have a sand shovel, like a little children's shovel, stuck in the top of their heads. I'm curious whether that's actually part of their body, or if it's like the story is just they come out of the sand and they just so happen to come out of, they possess the sandcastles of kids, that kind of thing. Because we don't know everything about them yet, but I do like that little touch. It gives them a little bit more personality.
I think it's probably a part of their body. It's just one of those things that evolution determined they needed to attract prey. Personally, for me, the thing that stuck out to me immediately was just how the windows and the entrance to the castle are framed to look like a mouth, and It's just, it has that little childish charm to it, but then when you think about it, it's really, really freaky.
It's like you're making a sandcastle and all of a sudden it like goes to bite you or something, or just scares you. That would frighten small children.
Well, if you look at the scan, there's actually a little drawing of the big sandcastle. I'm going to butcher its name, so I'm not even going to try. But the big sandcastle just swirling around trying to suck up a Pikachu into the beach. And I was thinking, wow, you combine this thing with a Trapinch, which is based off an antlion, and you have an incredibly deadly combo. I would stay away from all sand forever.
Screw the beach. Yeah, no, that picture is interesting how it shows it like sort of collapsing the ground around it and using its towers to sort of grab onto Pikachu. And, well, obviously Pikachu's in trouble anyway since it's a ground type. And it's a funny little addition to how it all works. And the evolution does stand out more than the pre-evolution, but it still looks good. I'm not sure. I like the typing, but I'm not sure if it's going to go on my team because I think like so many people, I'm like I want Mimikyu in my team, so that already gives me a ghost type. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that I think we can safely say it's going to be a really slow Pokemon because it's a sandcastle, and sand isn't known for being particularly fast.
No, its course and gets everywhere.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. Why?
Because it's the obvious joke. But no, it's I can totally see why people would not like this. Some people like the traditional looks of Pokemon, but for those of us who enjoy the stranger side of things and the weirder ones, I find that they can be oddly endearing. So we'll see if this one I become more endeared to it. Right now, I just kind of like it. It doesn't leave a massive impression on me, but I do kind of like it.
It's probably going to go down in history along the likes of Vanillite and Trubbish as that weird Pokemon from that one region that we'll make jokes about every now and then, but ultimately kind of forgettable.
Just kind of harmless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him, but we'll see.
Yeah. He could end up amazing. Who knows?
Actually, I was just thinking, looking at that image of the Pikachu again, they're probably going to have Arena Trap.
That would make sense.
That is going to be very annoying. Arena Trap Pokemon are my bane.
Yeah, they can definitely cause some issues, and with its ghost ground typing, that would be... that'll be interesting.
Oh, yes. So, with ghost typing, they can get away from trapping abilities, but we can't. This conversation is making me hate these things.
They could be quite annoying, potentially. Huh. I'm excited for it, though. I'm kind of curious to see when it'll pop up. Like, again, it's sort of maintaining this love I have of each of the new Pokemon, and how I think this new generation is very strong when it comes to the designs overall. And this one, again, just thinking about it, looking at its design, looking at the little bits of artwork, we don't know anything else about it yet, but there's still a lot of possibilities that make it, I don't know, really exciting.
That's one of the things I love most about the speculation period of new Pokemon releases. I've been with Bulbagarden since HGSS back in 2009, and I've been through every single one of the pre-releases, and it's always exciting to just wait by the computer every single month going, what are we going to see now? What's going to be released next? Come on, I want to see it.
Now, like I've mentioned this before, how for whatever reason, Sun and Moon is affecting me more than previous generations. Are you getting that same feeling? Is it just sort of like, oh, it's just the same general level of hype that I have for each new generation?
If I had to compare it to one of the previous releases, I would say it's probably most comparable to Gen 5. Gen 5 was the first big release that I ever had to manage as a moderator on our forums. And there are some very weird instances we had to go through with that. There were a lot of people who were getting super excited. There were a lot of rumors that came out. I remember when the Dex was supposedly leaked and we saw the supposed final starters, much like we are now. A lot of people were love it, hate it. There was a lot of arguments. We actually had to ban conversation on it because the attacks were getting personal, and we couldn't allow that.
Yeah, obviously. So, that's very interesting. So, we'll see. Well, speaking of leaks and whatnot, we have the pre-evolved version of Beware, and it's called Nui Kaguma, I think. I'm as people who listen to this know, I am awful at most Japanese pronunciation.
I don't even try.
Yeah, well, I gotta get the name out there somehow. But it's still a normal fighting type. There's not really much else to it, although I do like the little bit of artwork here where it's like uselessly throwing its paws forward. So I'm not sure if it's like a weakling when it's in its pre-evolved form, but it is. I mean, it matches Beware, and it's kind of cute, but it still has that weird headband design, and I'm like, it's cute. Again, it's cute, but something about it is just throwing me off.
You know, I think it's the roundness of the head and the thickness of the limbs. It doesn't look like it has much of an actual body. And maybe that's just the angle that the art is drawn at. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of Beware when we first saw it. I thought it looked odd, to be polite. Its pre-evolution's not really doing much for me. It's kind of like the relationship I have with the Teddiursa and Ursaring line. I mean, Teddiursa's really cute, probably one of the cutest Pokemon out there, but its evolution, I can pass.
Yeah, it's... yeah, I can totally get that. I think it's a weird thing where it's like, it looks like a cheap stuffed animal, I guess is the way to go. It's like, it's this weird head taped onto this like nothing of a body. It's just like, this is kind of how it's supposed to look. It's good enough for the kids type thing. But
oh, watch, its localized name is going to be something like Plush Bear or something.
That would be funny. That would be really funny. But, well, the only other thing really of note to talk about with this pre-evolution is the fact that it does confirm that supposed Pokedex leak is fake. Now, we didn't even cover that because I took one look at it. It's like, no. That's very unlikely. I have a hard time buying into rumors anymore, and that one was just like, there is no evidence backing that up. Not even touching it.
Yeah, after Generation 5 with a lot of that kind of stuff, I just said, no, we're not doing this anymore. So we definitely maintained our silence on it as well. And I am glad that it was proven false. So there were some good ideas in there that I'd like to see confirmed as different Pokemon. But for the most part, yeah, I'm glad that leaks like this are getting disproven, because it kind of kills some of the excitement. You know, when you have this, oh, what's going to be the next official new Pokemon, you want to see it. You want to know something about it. Just seeing it on a list on the internet kind of kills the charm.
Yeah, it really does. And it's just, that's why I like, unless it has some kind of credibility, I mostly stay away from it. And until I am thoroughly convinced, I will not report on it, because it's just so easy anymore. It really is.
Yeah.
So
I mean, honestly, the one thing that has surprised me the most about the Sun and Moon release, we are getting very few Photoshop scans. Like in generations past, what we would get is we would have people who would make these big spreads of what they said were CoroCoro leaks, with all these new Pokemon, and some of them are really good ideas, and some of them actually look like Ken Sugimori art. But we haven't been seeing those this generation, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. It seems to be mostly just a lot of rumors and whispers and dark corners, and oh, did you hear what came out of China? Or oh, did you hear what we read on this image board? It's, I don't know. I almost kind of miss the fake magazine scans that we used to get.
I don't, because that just makes it even harder. And I have seen some stuff on YouTube where they're like, they treat it like a trailer, and then they show off their designs for their ideas for new Pokemon and whatnot. But I appreciate the fact that we're not getting these fake Pokemon that I have to be like, okay, is that real or is that not?
Yeah,
so.
I've gotten very good at recognizing the traditional Pokemon style. There's just a couple little touches that are very key to Sugimori's style that a lot of people tend to miss or just forget. Mm-hmm. It's the eyes mostly. That's what does it.
Yeah, it's a iconic art style at this point. It's nice that it's also kind of hard to emulate, like perfectly emulate. You can definitely get there, but it's not quite the same.
Definitely.
Well, moving on to our fourth new Pokemon, we have Yowashi, who is... it confused me at first, because when I first saw the scans, I thought, oh, the little one evolves into the big one. That's kind of cool. Except, no, this is the same Pokemon. It seems to have some kind of ability that allows it to draw in a ton of little fish to give it a very scary form. Like, it's almost like, I wonder if it uses it's like it's young in order to sort of cover its body and give it the appearance of something much more threatening.
So, funny little background from last night. When we got this scan, I put it to our translation team and I said, okay, what is this? Because I can't read a word of this page, and I want to say it's an evolution, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, it's the normal form and the swarm form. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's clever.
It really is. Like, I'm very curious what its ability is going to be, what this does for it. Because to have this sort of intimidation factor and having all these little fish, and you can see all the little bits that make up its body, that's really clever design.
I've been thinking pretty much all day, okay, what are they going to call this ability? Because I'm assuming that what transitions between the normal form and the swarm form is some sort of ability being keyed off of something. Mm-hmm. And it can't be called swarm because that's already an ability and it's for bug types. So I was thinking, is it going to be something like school or grouping or something? Like, I'm not really sure what to call it.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing what it's going to do is it's going to be a little bit like Darmanitan, where it definitely raises its defense and its special defense just to make it a little bit tankier, because you have all these fish now and they're all buffing each other and they're all making each other stronger. But I don't know. It could also be like something that I thought they should have done with Remoraid and Mantine a long time ago. It could be if you have 2 of these Pokemon in your party, or you have 3 of these Pokemon, just multiples of this little fish in your party. When you send it out into battle, all those sort of cluster around it, and now you have these extra fish that are adding to the one that's in battle right now.
That would be interesting.
I have no idea how that would work.
No, you got me, but they're definitely going experimental with a lot of these abilities and a lot of these ideas, so it's possible. But yeah, it totally makes me think of the scene from Finding Nemo where where they're asking directions from that school of fish and they keep changing their shape. So it's just like, those guys as a Pokemon.
Am I the only person online who didn't immediately think of that?
I'm not sure. I honestly just thought about it. I didn't think about it. Never said it before.
I've seen so many people who've referenced that today, and I keep going, why didn't I think of that?
You're forgetting an animation classic. How could you?
I had a teacher who was obsessed with that film.
Yeah, I don't know, that was always a really funny scene. But yeah, Yowashi, I'm definitely intrigued by. I'm very curious what they're going to do with it and how it's exactly going to work. It doesn't stand out compared to it's not that immediate standout like the Sandcastle was, but I still think it's not going to be something that I want to learn more about and could be deceptively good.
I'm honestly not convinced of its viability in battle. Mm-hmm. I mean, whenever you have gimmick Pokemon, it tends to err towards more towards the idea that they're not that good in battle. The gimmick is just kind of fun to mess around with at times. Uh-huh. And I don't know. I'm gonna be a little skeptical of this one, but it's cute. It's fun. And I'm sure not going to object to catching one, and I'm sure not going to object to figuring out how to trigger that transformation. I don't think it's going to be on my team, though.
Probably not. I have a hard time picking up new water Pokemon because, well, the water starter is usually much better.
I did a mono water type run of Heart Gold very recently, and halfway through I had to put it down because I realized I was tired of water types.
It's easy to feel that way because there are so many water types out there.
It is the most populous type in the entire franchise.
Which makes sense considering there's a lot of water out there, but it's also, you know, hard to get excited about new water Pokemon, which is why I think this one also helps stand out, because it is different from what we've seen before. But we'll see.
Yep. 7.8 out of 10. Too much water Pokemon.
Alright, well, moving on to our new Alola Forms. First up, we have Alola Meowth, which honestly doesn't look that different compared to normal Meowth, just a darker color, and he's now a dark-type Pokemon. Apparently this change came about because they were being bred by the royal family of Alola, and I guess they got spoiled? I don't know. It's interesting, but I gotta say, I love this thing. I love this thing so much. I love the look on its face, I love the fact that it's a dark type, which is my favorite type of Pokemon, and I kind of want to put this on my team because it looks so awesome, or just so fun.
Dark-type Persian has been something that I've seen a lot of muttering about over the years. There's a lot of people who thought in Gen 2 that it should have been pre-typed. And I think I understand why a lot of people associate Persian with Giovanni, and so they think, oh, well, Dark-type is the evil type. It's the underhanded, pragmatic type. So it's perfect for Giovanni's mascot Pokemon. And it looks like we're finally going to get that, which, hey, I think that's cool. I'm not sure what it says that this Meowth came about because of its breeding by the royal family of Alola, though I have to wonder how much they're going to play that up in Sun and Moon. I think this is the first time we've heard that there's a royal family of Alola, and going back to X and Y, they talk about the mythical king, who we find out is AZ, and the great weapon from that great war that was fought. And they make mention of this king all the way throughout. And the thing is, until relatively recently in history, Hawaii was a kingdom. And I actually tweeted out a picture on Twitter earlier, making a joke about how you should never trust Kamehameha because that was one of the great Hawaiian kings.
Wouldn't that be funny if there was a connection that way?
I mean, he's a pretty popular figure in Hawaiian history. I wouldn't be surprised if there was at least one NPC, maybe even the Island League champion, that is based off of him.
Yeah. Or we could go off of your initial idea where maybe this kingdom is related to Kalos in some way, and it ties into that history as well. Maybe this was the other kingdom that they went to war with, or that Pokemon War 3,000 years ago happened. It's completely unclear, but it could be a tiny hint at some greater world building within Pokemon, and boy, they've been doing that a lot lately. Just these little things here and there.
Oh, definitely. I don't think there's going to be a direct connection to Kalos, but there are enough things that seem to have crossed over between Alola and Kalos, and between Gen 6 and Gen 7. It wouldn't surprise me if there is some deeper connection between the royal family of Alola and the royal family of Kalos, but they are kind of an entire world apart from each other, so that's hard to say.
Yeah, it's not so sure, but could be fun. We'll see.
I definitely think it'll be fun, and I definitely think that a Dark-type Meowth is going to be cool. I've actually seen some people ask, what is this going to mean for the anime?
I was actually going to bring that up because I can just imagine a wonderful episode where Meowth meets an Alolan Meowth, and I can just imagine the hijinks that'll ensue.
We were joking about it among the staff earlier, and somebody brought up the idea that Team Rocket decides to ditch Pikachu entirely, and they're just going to chase after this Dark-type Meowth all the way across Alola so they can evolve it into a Dark-type Persian and gift it to the boss as sort of a way to apologize for all the years where they failed to bring home anything.
That'd be funny. Actually, that would be kind of cool if they like one of them catches a Meowth, and it, like Meowth has this rivalry with an Alola and Meowth the entire season.
Nah, because see, what's going to happen is that you call it a rivalry, and then the fandom's going to take it, and they're going to ship the two together.
Well, that's a guarantee. It just always happens. But no, I am looking forward to a lot of the Pokemon they've set up. I can already see how certain episodes will work, or could potentially work. They just have that good of a backstory or good of a history to them that I think they could really do something with it. So we'll see, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what the anime does with Alola and Meowth.
I am guessing, this is just my personal hunch, I am guessing that Alola and Meowth is going to feature pretty prominently in the anime, and he is going to play some sort of role, maybe the foil to Meowth. Team Rocket might actually have a main plot again. Mm-hmm. Or do they currently have one in X and Y? I haven't caught up yet.
They are kind of involved in which they've had encounters and run-ins with Team Flare, but nothing in any major way. Though, based on Olympia's prediction, they do have some role to play in whatever's coming in later in the season. So,
gotcha. Then, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Team Rocket and specifically Meowth found a foil in this Dark-type Meowth that kind of harasses them throughout the entire Alolan journey.
That'd be great. But, well, our last new Pokemon in Alolan form is Alola Marowak, which a lot of people, including myself, called this one because of Kyave and the fact that he had they said his partner was a Marowak, and we're like, well, he's a Fire-type trainer. It'd be weird if he has a Ground-type, so probably a Fire-type Marowak is coming our way, and they still caught me off guard with this like I was expecting it. I was expecting the whole fire twirler aspect where his bone's on fire and he twirls it like that. It's sort of a dance. Yet I did not expect the ghost typing, and that's really cool. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I was really heavily predicting it was going to be fire ground because Kyave is on a volcano, and fire ground is kind of the default volcano typing. It seemed like it made sense. And then they had to go and make it ghost type, which to me is just a giant reference to that little plot line from Red, Blue, and Yellow. And
yeah,
it's depressing. It's so depressing.
A lot of people have brought that up after its introduction, and it makes sense. It really does to have a callback like that, and do something with that. Like it's I mean, Cubone and Marowak have always been the most depressing Pokemon. Let's just drive it home. And
they are definitely up there.
Mm-hmm. And they always a typical Japanese depiction of Ghost does have tiny little flames surrounding them. So again, Ghost Fire makes a lot of sense, especially when it comes to Marowak. It is literally haunting us.
It's definitely a cool design. I don't have a problem with it. The one thing I am very concerned about, and this is mostly just for personal reasons, we don't know if Cubone got retyped. So it's very possible that Alolan Cubone start out as a normal ground type, normal not being the actual type, and then they evolve into Ghost Fire.
That would be interesting, like that. See how it changes its typing, but it's also that leads for a lot of possibilities where all of a sudden you have a Ghost Fire type that can learn ground moves. It could have some ground moves in there as well, and leads to a lot of possibility. It's the evolution and like, are you going to catch? I'm sure you'll be able to catch some of these Pokemon, but the evolutions are definitely the biggest mystery when it comes to Alola forms. The various stones because of how Vulpix and Execute evolve and how that whole thing works. There's still quite a bit of mystery there.
Honestly, I really have to give it to Game Freak and the Pokemon Company International for how they presented these, because they did it perfectly. They made it very clear that regular Pokemon can evolve into Alolan forms, and the first stages don't necessarily have to be retyped themselves.
Yeah.
And they showed that with Execute. But then with Vulpix and Sandshrew, they said, or we could just retype all of them. And so now we're just left going, well, wait, which Pokemon are going to get Alolan Forms? Is it going to be the entire evolutionary line? Is it just going to be Kanto Pokemon? We've only seen Kanto Pokemon, but could it be later generations? There's just so many questions and so many things that people want to talk about these. And I know there's at least a couple people out there that are just going down the entire Pokedex list, which, that's what, like over 750 and counting at this point?
Yeah.
They're just going down the entire list going, I want this to change, I want this to change, I don't want this to change, please do not change this, I want this to change, I want this to change. Personally, and I know this is a long shot, I would really like if we got an Alolan Flygon that was Bug Dragon with Sandveil.
Ooh, that'd be really cool.
I don't know if they would put that in Alola because Flygon's kind of a Hoenn Pokemon and it might feel a little too samey, but I can dream.
Hey, you might as well. I mean, that's the thing right now, is that there's just a ton of possibilities, and I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to go down, but I'm definitely curious.
Yeah, Alolan Pokemon are definitely a genius improvement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, this is a really smart idea, and I love how as you said, they've revealed so much, yet we still have a ton of questions, and that's a good balance to pull off. But yeah, that's all of the Pokemon, but we also have a some artwork of our new team, which apparently is called Team Skull. And boy, do they look like an improvement over Team Flare.
I was not much of a fan of Team Flare. I mean, I know that I know a lot of people were excited about them at launch and even a few weeks afterwards, where Team Flare was cool and they were hip and they were a nice, lighter version of the evil team to go to after what we had with Team Plasma. But I don't know, I never really went along that line. Team Flare just didn't do it for me.
I think a lot of people lost, like, I saw the possibility, like, this sort of Men in Black type outfit that were this mysterious group. There was a lot of possibility there that could really work. But then you saw the execution and how they were like, our goal is, the initial goal seems to be, we want people to be more fashionable. What? That's our goal after coming off of Black and White and that really strong, like, motif. Even though they did look kind of silly dressed up as knights, but whatever, their goal was still really cool. It just seemed like a downgrade.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the guy who says, "Oh, Pokemon has to be so serious."
Oh God, no!
Because Team Plasma, it told its story, and it did it for the most part pretty well. I have a few gripes here and there, but overall, it did it pretty well. And I obviously am a huge fan of the old Team Rocket from both Gen 1 and Gen 2. I think they're great. They're funny. They're comedic at times. Oh, I dropped the lift key, but. They're fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, Team Flare just wasn't feeling it. I think part of it actually had to do with the fact that Lysandre was just too obvious.
Yeah.
He was too obvious, too over the top, and I still cannot figure out what was up with that machine that he puts on during the final battle with him.
I don't know.
when you have that final match, he puts on that weird Doc Ock contraption. Anyway, I've never figured out. These guys, Team Skull, well, I'm going to be honest, I feel like they should be riding motorcycles up and down the beach trying to shake people down for money.
That does seem like somewhat appropriate, but I also, like, the motif I'm getting is definitely a pirate motif. And to that effect, I think they work very well with the region. To have, like, pirates all of a sudden, like, raiding places, stealing Pokemon, or doing whatever they want to do. The thing is, the designs I like most, looking at all these, the characters we have here, are the grunts. I love how the grunts look, how they have that skull and crossbones on their shirts, how they have this sort of, like, this bandanas and to cover their mouths, and even these different kind of hats. I think the whole motif works wonderfully with them and really sells it and makes them, I don't know, I really like the designs. I need to see a little bit more of the leader and his henchwoman. But as a preliminary look, they do seem like they could be fun characters. He definitely has... maybe it's just a smile, but he does have that kind of roguish charm.
I mean, it definitely would be nice if we had another villain who had that sense of gravitas that some of the past ones have had. Though he looks like he's going to be a little bit more easygoing about things, that's refreshing.
Yeah. Maybe
not super serious, but then again, this is Pokemon. The villains are, for the most part, always taking things too far.
Yeah. The most serious looking one of them all is definitely the pink-haired girl. She looks like she has a death stare on her face, which is something else.
Yeah, I've seen some people mention this over the last 24 hours. She does look a little like, what was her name? Lavrina, I think, from Colosseum. It's the hair, and I don't think there's a relation, but if there is, that opens up a whole lot of other implications.
I highly doubt they'd reference Colosseum.
Yeah, I don't think they would, but who knows? I mean, Colosseum does take place in functionally Pokemon Arizona, and this is Pokemon Hawaii, which Pokemon Arizona is a lot closer to Pokemon Hawaii than Kalos is. So, who knows? But it's a spin-off title, so
yeah,
it's a dream.
We'll see, but they usually have different regions for stuff like that, but that's okay. But yeah, as far as just a general impression so far, I think Team Skull has a lot of potential. I like the name. I think it definitely gets across what they're about, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else we'll see about them.
I do like their emblem. That I think is one of the flashier things about them. It's not very complex, but it's just got that weird S shape to it that, I don't know, it just kind of stands out to me.
Yeah, it's very clever, I think, because it looks like an S, but I think depending on the angle you look at it from, and probably when we get a better look at the leader, we'll see it probably looks like it's a skull itself in the way it's shaped, which, again, clever.
Yeah, it's hard to see the scan, but it does have those golden teeth underneath the holes in the S, so it does kind of look like it, just a little abstract, but I do like it. It's a very clever design.
Yeah. Well, before we end this off, since we've pretty much covered everything out of CoroCoro, we know we're probably going to get more information on all of these things come Friday when the new trailer is released. I can't remember if it's 9 p.m. Thursday Eastern or 9 a.m. Eastern on Friday, but either way, we'll be getting it around that time period. And we'll probably get the English names for all these Pokemon and what their abilities are and what they're all about. Maybe some more information on Team Skull. But do you think we can get anything else beyond that? Do you think we'll actually see this apparent secret evolution that Rockruff has that they're teasing for the next CoroCoro issue, or will they save that for CoroCoro?
That's actually a very good question. So the announcement is supposed to be at 10 a.m. Japan time, so that would be 9 p.m. Pacific on Thursday.
Okay.
So that's going to be really busy for me at that time.
No kidding.
I don't think they're going to do Rockruff. I think that they're going to still tease that out. They've dropped hints before that there's something about Rockruff's evolution, not just the evolution, but there's something about Rockruff's line in general that has this great secret that is connected to the starters. I know some people think it's the Z moves, but I think it's the fact they highlighted those 4 that we need to keep a close eye on. And I don't think they're going to drop that immediately. I think that they are going to do some kind of big spread on that next month.
Okay.
What I do think we're going to get is we are going to see more of this evil team, because this magazine, this issue of CoroCoro, is technically supposed to come out on Friday. So you get the magazine, which shows off a couple things, and then you have the Pokemon Company that does their normal trailer and says, hey, look at the villain team. And I don't think we're going to see too much. I don't think we're really going to get much of a good sense of what their goals are, but I mean, the analysis machine is better at finding that out than I am.
Yeah, we'll see what I can find and what they reveal and what kind of background elements they have. We'll see. There's a lot of possibilities there. I'm excited to see. But I honestly think I wonder if the big reveal for this time around, especially since they are mentioning Rockruff's Secret Evolution for next month, is maybe we'll get the evolutions of our starters. We'll see what they evolve into initially.
That could be. Normally, starter evolutions aren't something that come out until very close to launch. I wouldn't expect them until September or October, personally.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, though, who knows on that? Actually, technically speaking, next month would be the October issue of CoroCoro, so we could. That's kind of a 50-50 as far as I'm concerned. But it does make sense that if they're going to talk about Rockruff and its evolution, and they're going to make this big presentation about it, yeah, I guess it makes sense to partner that up with the starter evolutions. And honestly, I think we need the starter evolutions sooner rather than later, because it is crazy out there when people are talking about them.
Yeah, and that leak of the artwork is not helping for the final evolutions. Like, people are just all over the place and whatnot. Mallow seems to confirm that is real, but we'll have to see.
Honestly, Mallow, I have a bone to pick with you, because we always try and keep spoilers out of the spotlight, because there's a lot of people that want to go into each new generation blind, and I know of at least a few people that want to do a blind Nuzlocke of Sun and Moon just right out the gate, which, more power to you guys.
Good luck.
But Mallow, just by showing up and being in that artwork, all of a sudden it spread like wildfire, and we basically had to go, okay guys, can you at least put spoiler tags around it? Can we just ask for that?
We always try to, like, when with these leaks, like the CoroCoro leaks, we try to make them not as obvious. But when the trailers come out, well, that's our cue. Well, that, hey, Game Freak put it out there, everybody else is going to have it out there. Good luck trying to avoid it, but we're going to have at least one of the new Pokemon featured, so sorry.
This is one of the hardest generations, I think, to remain spoiler-free on, because we have been getting nothing but constant information. We're at, what, 35 new Pokemon, not counting Alolan Forms? There's just so much about Sun and Moon that they're putting out, and they're going to keep putting out more until the game launches. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really feels like we're getting it about every 2 weeks or so, and to do that, and like everybody's worried, like, are we not going to have that many Pokemon to show off? Maybe there is going to be a lot of Pokemon, and this is just sort of like the early ones, or this is just like a small sampling. It's hard to say, because you never know exactly what their strategy could be, but it's been interesting to maintain this level of hype and keep people invested in exactly what Sun and Moon will show off next, and there's still a lot to see.
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to realize about generations is that they kind of have developed a pattern. When first generation came out, we got 151. Then in second generation, we got 100. In third, we got like 130 or so, and then I want to say we got fewer than that in fourth, and then over 150 in fifth. So we're already kind of seeing this wave of new Pokemon, in that on the odd number generations there's typically more Pokemon, and on the even number generations there's typically fewer. I can't say for certain that this pattern's going to hold. Obviously, Game Freak is allowed to make their own decisions, not based on any pattern. But I would expect that we're going to see at least more Pokemon than Generation 6 had. Yeah. And that had 72, I think?
Somewhere around there. Pretty minimal, honestly. And I know a lot of people were disappointed by that.
It was small, but between Mega Evolutions and the new Pokemon we did get, I definitely think there was a lot of quality there. And, if Sun and Moon puts out, say, 80 new Pokemon, but they're all really high quality, like a lot of the ones that we've been seeing thus far are, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with getting a smaller dex if it means we get stuff like Vikavolt or whatever Rockruff's evolution is going to be. I mean, I already think that having an early game rock type that's a dog is just amazing. I want it.
No, I do too. That thing is going on my team because usually I don't care about rock types too much, but a dog, oh god, yeah, it's like interesting typing, interesting design, mystery to it. I don't know exactly what, but I want it. You know.
There's also and this is kind of a wild guess, but I would not be surprised if on Friday they reveal at least one new Pokemon that isn't covered in CoroCoro.
Yeah. And probably some new Alola, I'm guessing some new Alola forms as well, but go on.
Because with Komala and I want to say Rockruff was the other one.
Yeah.
When they came out, the Pokemon Company didn't talk about them for a little while. They just went on to some other new Pokemon and discussed them. So there's no guarantee that what we've seen in CoroCoro today is going to be shown off by TPCI in their videos on Friday.
Yeah.
And there's also the matter to consider that they're having a time difference. It's not going to be at 10 p.m. like it has been. It's going to be at 10 a.m. for Japan. So, you know, what is the implication of that? Is that changing what kind of content we might be getting?
I have no idea.
There's just so many questions.
Yeah.
That's all Sun and Moon is just questions.
Yeah. Here's a few answers, and that leads to even more questions. But again, I'm excited. I can't help it. Everything I've seen so far has made me more excited. I want to see what else they're going to put out there, and they have my attention. And I think that's the thing that matters most right now, is that they have my attention. I cannot wait to see what they show off on Thursday night for US or Friday for everybody, whenever that day for everything else.
This is the perfect time to be a Pokemon fan, and I am really happy to be a part of it. And I'm really excited for when Sun and Moon come out. I've already pre-ordered, which I normally don't do, because I know this is a day one purchase for me, and I'm going to spend months playing through these games. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. The only thing I'm dreading is I hope they give some good information, but not too much information. I don't want a 5-minute trailer like last week.
oh, definitely. That is definitely a concern I'm seeing amongst a lot of people. You know, I think I even titled one of our threads, our news thread, "More news on August 12th. Don't we have enough already?"
Well, it's not so much that. I mean, people can get excited about news. I'm thinking more of my own sanity for how long I was working on that analysis for the last trailer. So,
I gotta say, as someone who listens to your guys' podcasts and just follows all your videos, especially when it comes to Pokemon, you guys are troopers. The amount of work you and the rest of the Game Explain team put into putting those videos together and doing all those analyses, oh man. I have tried. I have not been able to find the time. So I gotta say, from one Pokemon fan to another, bravo.
Well, I really do appreciate that, especially coming from you guys at Bulbapedia, who, you know, I do, you know, I like for a lot of stuff. I will fully admit I don't know everything about Pokemon. I don't know competitive or anything like that. I'm not like an encyclopedia. I have to use resources like you guys and Cerebi in order to sort of understand where I'm coming from, and I also have my own ideas that I go off of as well, and yeah, that's how we get some of the crazier ones that make no sense, but that's the way it goes. I completely understand not having the time for it though, because I will, especially for the Pokemon analyses, I'll go for 10-12 hours at a time making sure these things are ready until I'm just too tired to go on.
It's crazy. But
yeah, just a bit. But I think that pretty much covers everything about this CoroCoro leak. Did not expect to go this long, but that just tells you how excited we are about Sun and Moon and what they could show on the 12th. So we'll see. Now that of course would be everything for our discussion, except we have another Pokemon, Namakobushi, which is said to be able to send its insides out from its mouth and use as a fist. And we covered it a bit in our update, but there is more to say about this thing. As far as its design, I can definitely say it is strangely cute. Yeah, this is supposed to be a sea cucumber, but it also kind of has a bunny look to it, like a snow bunny type thing, especially because of the white end on its tail. Well, I think it's a tail, I'm not sure, and then along with all the spikes. So there seems to be a bit more to it than you'd initially think, and that makes it much more interesting because of that. And I actually got some thoughts from Austin. He wasn't able to join, as I said before, to sort of expand upon this, but he did give his quick thoughts. He believes that it has an interesting design, and he really wants to see what it looks like when it punches something, which, yeah, that's either going to be, well, that's probably going to be kind of gross, but I can't imagine them going too gross with how it looks, so that'll be interesting. He also says that this other leak that came out that listed a bunch of things like no gyms and a couple of the different Pokemon that'll be announced is confirmed in his mind. Now, I'm not willing to go that far yet. One of the Pokemon mentioned was a sea cucumber, which does add fuel to this fire, and a lot of the things they've mentioned has come true. But they're also so non-specific that it's really hard for me to fully back this. Until we get more, and I'm going to continue to say this because I am very hard to please when it comes to this kind of thing, I'm going to hold off on fully backing this idea. But Namakabushi does really emphasize that, and who knows, maybe it'll happen and that's a couple of our Pokemon. It doesn't really add too much more beyond that because there's really not a lot of spoilers from this other than the fact of a few more Pokemon coming our way. So could be interesting, but on the whole I think this is a Pokemon that has a lot of potential based on its typing and exactly what it does. This is absolutely going to evolve, and it's all a matter of what it actually does with that. It's kind of funny to see it just sort of tucked away with no big grandstand. It's just, here's this picture. So we'll see if we get more information about this Pokemon come Friday. So with all that said, let's go ahead and end off this discussion. But I think that covers it for our Sun and Moon discussion. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplained. And Austin, where can they find you at?
Well, you can find us pretty much anywhere under the Bulbagarden tag or Bulbapedia. We're on Twitter under Bulbagarden, Bulba News Now, Bulbapedia, Bulba Trade. We have a lot of Twitter accounts, and you can find me personally at TFalconWing on Twitter. Come on by. I'm always happy to chat about stuff.
Cool. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplained for more on Pokemon and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye.